Hello, it's Ted here with my Scrambler 400X. Today I'm looking at installing some new lights. I love this motorcycle. It's been great. Does really well off-road. We just got back from a week-long trip up doing parts of the Continental Divide in New Mexico and Colorado. The bike did amazing. It was awesome. We climbed Stony Pass at 12,650 feet and Engineer Pass at 12,800 feet. At some point I'll go through some of the accessories I put on. Just the main things though is I did get these Zana engine guards and upgraded the radiator, and I've got a new skid plate that I didn't get to be able to put on beforehand, and put on a couple of these adjustable levers for brake and clutch. And the big upgrade were the Caro 4 tires, which are much meatier than the original Metzler. I can't remember the name of them, but the OEM brand. But these did awesome on the trails and in the dirt and in the mud. Also, these crash guards are awesome. I think they're better than the Triumph OEMs because they stick out farther. They also have a skid puck, and it goes all the way to the back here, so it protects everything along the transmission and the side of the vehicle. I mean the motorcycle. I did dump it once, but I was actually at a standstill. Put my foot down into a puddle and just went over. No problems. The only issue I think it did is tiny little scrape here, and but nothing on the bike. The engine guards did their job. Other than that, it did great. Didn't have any high-speed dumps, so I was excited about that. So today we are looking at installing some auxiliary lighting. As I said, I love the motorcycle. The only thing I don't love is this darn headlight. It is horrible. It's the only way I can put it. It does not, you cannot see anything at night. It's just almost worthless. So you need some auxiliary lighting. Found this Auxbeam. They've got a couple different items, but this one I got because my buddy on this Himalayan 411 has them, and they seem to be really bright and really good. They've got a yellow light and a white light and some yellow like daytime running halo lights. I don't think I'll be running, I think I'll have them on all the time. So let's see what we've got here. So just opening them up, yeah, we got a little sticker. Here they are. Here's some of the wiring. Looks like this is I believe this is for the switch. Some tape and some Allen keys. Okay, looks like this is the module. Oh yeah, here's the little switch. This changes the different modes. This is the on-off. And it looks actually like a pretty decent wiring harness. Talking to my buddy, I know that there's obviously positive and ground. There's a hot lead for ignition, and then it's kind of weird. I think this white one goes to a horn. So when you do your horn, you can actually make them flash, which is kind of funky. And then these are going to be the adapters, and it looks like this is the actual light. That's kind of weird, a little moisture in here. Huh, that's odd because this is, I don't see any moisture on the box. Anyway, these are the size of the lights. Kind of cool. So my plan for these is to mount it to my crash bars. So I originally was thinking I would put them right here, but now that I'm looking where the turn indicators are, that doesn't look like a great spot. So I'm going to mount them right under here. Not going to do it to the forks. Obviously it'd be nice with the forks to be able to turn and have them turn with you, but I think if I put them right under here, they'll be protected with the crash bars. My only other concern is on this side. We have the exhaust, and it will be kind of close to the exhaust, but I'm hoping this is actually a really strong metal casing with some cooling fins, so I will kind of put this right out here. I think that should work. All right. So I'm going to get the camera set up and then we'll start working. All right, so let's see what we got here. Looks like a pretty good wiring harness. Looks like these are going to be waterproof once they are connected. Big thing I'm going to want to check is, so we got the brackets here, and of course they've got spacers depending on the width of the bars. Got, I don't know if you can see that, but they got small ones and big ones here. So let's take a look at how this is going to work. They do provide some Allen keys, which is nice. And some zip ties, and actually they even provide a little electrical tape. Good complete kit. Whoop. Ah, we lost it. So there's a little lock washer here. It looks like this side of the bracket, you can see that connects inside there. So don't want to lose that lock washer. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of test fit this. I'm going to probably want it. So based on that, I'm definitely going to need a spacer in this. Thinking right now I'm going to need, let's see, they come a small, medium, and big. I don't know, the big spacer might be too big. Probably do the medium one. Let's test that one out first. Alright, that looks like the ticket. I think that'll be able to clamp down pretty good. Whoop. Gonna be close. Let me just test fit the thin spacers first, just to see. Looks like these are just aluminum brackets here. Alright, so the small spacers are adequate, but I think once we tighten it down, I'm going to go with the mediums. So, and the spacers, thankfully they have a little hole there, so it's not going to move around once it's in place, which is kind of nice. I've installed similar brackets on other stuff on the cars and things, and sometimes those don't work because they start twisting. Gonna look again at how this is set up here. So it looks like there's two sizes of bolts. I'm assuming the small one is here, the larger one is gonna go on the other side. Make sure you got the lock washers underneath the Allen bolts. So let's see, I think what I'm gonna do here is get this started. And then, as I said, there is a lock washer that goes in between the mounting bracket for the light and the mounting bracket for the pole. And it looks like that slips into there. Alright, not going to really tighten that down yet. So it looks like there's some sort of an adjustment here. I'm wondering if that somehow adjusts the beam or what. I'll have to look in the instruction manual. Looks like there's two mounting screws on top, which I'm assuming are the small ones. They give you a couple extra Allen keys as well, and a couple lock washers. So all these lock washers look to be the same. It does look a little wide for this smaller Allen bolt. So let's see how we can adjust these. Put them right on the corner. So I don't like the fact that this side is sticking out more, so I'll probably swap that, but let's first get this mounted up and see how they're going to go. Again, it'd be nice to be up a little bit higher. It's always better to get as high as possible, but that's going to be right in the beam for that. So side to side adjustment can be adjusted with this back bolt. Obviously up and down will be dependent on this guy here. So I'm going to go ahead and start tightening this down for now. Again, mounting the lights is the easy part. The harder part's going to be wiring it in, making sure everything's adjusted correctly. But for now, I'm just going to there's still, yeah, I think the medium's the best because there's still some adjustment here, but I haven't cranked it down all the way. Just want to get it started. All right. So, just gonna come around here. Actually, I'm gonna lower you down a little bit, get a little closer. See right where I'm working. Alright, again, I'm going to be using the medium. Looks like that's the middle. That's the middle. Well, I got this out as well. I'm going to try this one without the lock washers. The lock washers on this bracket seemed like they were a little too big. So I'm going to just go ahead and then also, if you look here, looks like there's grooves here, so if you loosen this one up, you should be able to adjust the height from there rather than turning the bracket on the bar. Sorry, I'm just... That's not threading in very well, so I just want to make sure I don't strip it or anything. Probably more a function of the powder coating than anything else. It's going in fine now. Oh, interesting. Alright, so a little twist here. So when I'm tightening these up, I'm realizing that there's actually a gap there. So I'm missing something. And now, let me look in there. I think there's another, maybe another little rubber pad. Yep. Right there. So there's another little rubber pad that you put in between this mounting bracket and the light itself. Alright, so now you can see there's a little rubber pad in between there. That should hopefully take up the space. The only other thing is whether or not you're going to have to use that washer. But I don't think so. This is tightening up now. Okay, it probably helps with some vibration too. Alright, I wanted to get that on there first. Gonna get the large one started with that lock washer. Oh. Sorry. Missed the bottom part. The lock washer is supposed to go on the side in this recess here. Just want to get it started so it doesn't fall off. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to get these two rubber spacers in there. And see about, hopefully I got enough leeway to get this on there. So, what I'm concerned with here is how close it is to the exhaust. So I think we're just gonna have to run it like that, and my puck is right here, which is still hopefully far enough away. So if this dumps over, I don't think I'll take this out. Just tightening up each side evenly for now. I'm sure I'll be adjusting these later. Okay. So I think for now, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to look at the different wiring here. Alright, here's a module. This says horn wire. This one says ACC, so that'll only go on when it's on. And then these are the battery wires. And then these are the connectors for the wiring loom itself, which is going to go to the lights. And then the smaller one is going to be for the switch. So 2 ends for this. This one. It's gonna go on, only goes on one way. The little notch is on the up. Alright, and then I'm going to need to figure out wiring this up. I will probably try to go under the gas tank. Now I did see a video where somebody else was doing some wiring for the GPS unit, and he was able to lift the gas tank up a little bit. Otherwise I can go underneath here and come on back. So we will take a look. Time to take off the seat. The seat for the 400X is relatively easy. And you pop the key in back here, lift up the back seat, and then we've got two 5mm Allens here. And the seat just pops right up. Put those back there briefly so that we don't lose them. Alright, I'm going to move you on over here so you get a better view of what we're wiring up. Alright, so this is all the electronics underneath. Sorry it's a little dirty, but I've been riding some trails and it is getting dusty. So we've got our positive here, negative here. This is a little fuse. I believe this is for the trickle charger. So I'm going to need to grab a screwdriver and a couple other tools. I'll be right back. The trickle charger. So I'm going to need to grab a screwdriver and a couple other tools. I'll be right back. Alright, came back with some tools. Looks like the battery just is a simple Phillips. And I got 10mm for these bolts here on the gas tank. First things first, I always disconnect the negative. Interesting. The main power for the bike must be a different ground, because I'm used to working on cars so much, but it's this whole piece here. So you would pull this whole piece off. So technically there's still power to the motorcycle, so be very careful about shorting anything out. So instead of taking this whole thing off, I think I'm just going to loosen that a little bit. Grab my rag, Make sure this is clean off for a good connection. I could take that whole thing off for, actually, you know what? I'm gonna take it all the way off because I wanna make sure I get a good connection. But before I do that, this whole thing, I see. All right, now the motorcycle is no longer connected. Don't want that touching that ground. All right, so this is the positive. A little dirty and dusty under here. She's seen a lot of trail miles, which is great. That's why what I bought her for. Look back here at my wiring harness. Here is my positive and negative. I'm just gonna basically slip that under there for now. Go on the inside. Tighten her back up. Alright, so positive is on. Alright, hear those sparks? That is power back to the motorcycle. Guess that was on the side. Slip that under there. Alright. Actually, I am going to rotate that. Well, I guess that's the best we're going to get. Just want to make sure nothing's rubbing. There's a lot of vibrations when you're going down the trail. Put that cover back on. Make sure you do not touch the positive with and ground it out. Bad news. Alright, so this looks like it's that canister. Here are the fuses. Radiator fan, pump relay. Bunch of stuff. USB charger. Oh, look at those little cute little fuses. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use as my power. I might just hook it straight up to the battery and make sure I turn it off, but that's not necessarily the best way to do it. So I might have to come back and figure out what we're gonna do. But I guess for now we can do a little test run. Let's see what they look like. I'm gonna get them, just get these hooked in here. I'm getting antsy. I just want to see them light up real quick. So one of the things I might do is get a you can get a little fuse thing so that it'll have another connection off of one of these fuses, which I would take probably the USB, because that'll be controlled by the key, and you can get a little extra fuse coming off there, so when that lights up. There is another guy out in Vegas that had a 400X that was wiring in his GPS, and he used one of the ports on the OBD2 sensor. But don't do that, because that threw a check engine light on him, and he didn't know what was going on. I had to take it back to the dealer, and they said, nope, it's got to be dedicated. So I'm gonna figure out what to do, but for right now I'm gonna go back to the positive and go ahead. Again, this is temporary. If I'm gonna leave it on all the time, I will put a connector on this. But again, it's not ideal. The best is to have it switched. Okay, just be careful. Again, this is temporary. I'm going to be taking this off here real quick. Alright, so I'm doing my little test fit here, and I thought I turned them off, but you can actually see that there's a little daytime running halo there. I'm going to switch it through. This is on the power button, so there's the yellow, there's the white, and I believe that's both. Yeah, that's a yellow and a white. The yellow is down lower, the white is more of a driving light. It has M here, which I'm assuming are the modes, and I believe you can switch them to flashing. So I'm going to hit mode 1 is flashing, mode 2 alternates. That's kind of cool, white and yellow. Definitely is going to catch the eyes of the other drivers on the road. That's okay, flashing yellow and flashing white, alternating, flashing just yellow, flashing just white, flashing both. Okay, so I just turned those off, and the power button changes the colors, yellow, white, both. Very cool. And then you long hold the power button and they go off. But if you'll notice, daytime running still on. So those will always be on when the bike's on, so you got to make sure I find an adequate ignition source. So I am going to work on that next, and we'll be right back. Alright, now I bought my bike used. It had just 1,600 miles on it. Gosh, right now I'm at 3,200, so I put 1,600 miles on it as well. So when I was looking around here, I disconnected actually this back connector here, which was actually kind of a pain to get to, but disconnected this thinking that I was going to wire it into the tail lights. Interestingly enough, this connector on the right side of the bike is actually not the tail lights, so I think it's actually this connector. There's some wires coming out of it, but because I was told the ACC would be, or a 12 volt would be a purple wire, and I see a purple wire going in this. That's why I thought this was the turn signal and lights, but it's not. Now that I'm looking, there's another connector over here by the canister that's purple, But then I was looking and I said, hey, wait a sec, this is not factory wiring. Somebody put in some clips here. So I picked up the fuse box, and you can see somebody wired in a funky thing here to bridge this, and then wired in another wire here as a double connector coming out of this connector. And so what I'm going to do right now is turn the moto on, double checking here on my multimeter. I got 12.6 volts. So I'll do the ground, and then I'm going to see if this wire's hot. And guess what? It is hot. So they wired this. Now I was trying to figure out where did they wire this into. So this is not something I necessarily recommend the way they did this, because it's way too close to the fuse box. But this is actually the fuse, 30 amp fuse to the headlight, horn, and brake light. So I got a hot wire here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'll turn the bike off, make sure and this did have just some electrical tape over it, because this is obviously a hot wire, not done great. But I think what I'm gonna have to do then is make my own connector, and I'm gonna take my ACC wire and connect it into here. I might strip this off. Well, this is already in there pretty good. What I might do is strip this wire off, connect these two, put some shrink wrap on it, solder it in place, and call it a day. I think that's probably the best thing. Otherwise I'll just make a new connector, but then I got to recrimp this wire as well, which is actually the factory wire. So I will get back to you shortly. Alright, I'm back with a solution for this wiring. The white, which is the ACC wire, which goes into the box, I have spliced in to the old wire, the OEM wire, which does the headlight and brake lights and such. I've crimped this, and that's on there pretty tight, and then got some shrink wrap that I'm going to put on, and then that's going to plug into this here. This is kind of janky, and I'm probably going to change it, but all my wiring is unfortunately not at home right now. It's over at the shop. So I'm going to probably take all these connections out and do this properly when I get a better chance. But for now, it'll do, and I'll get the rest of the wiring for the lights underneath the gas tank and such. Alright, so I did some more off-camera stuff because it was getting later last night, trying to get some of the wiring done, which is probably the most important part of the video, and what most people actually want to know, how things are wired in. So we got the lights down here. Wires are just simply zip tied up there, and then I ran them underneath the gas tank, and then pulled them down here. This is the controller wire. These are the two lights. Zip tied these guys in here, and the ACC wire, which is going underneath to the headlamp, horn, and brake light, which I put another spade in there. It's not the greatest, and I'm going to probably change that later, but I wanted to get this video done. And then all these other wires, I'm going to get some double-sided sticky tape and just actually fix this to the top of the battery. And this is that horn wire, which we're not going to use. Apparently there's a feature that if you blow your horn, it'll flash really bright, which is kind of a cool feature, but seems like a lot more wiring and stuff to do. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on a tripod and show you how to take off the gas tank. There is a, let me see, well, there's a 10mm bolt that goes right in here, and then this hooks in under there, and then the whole thing pulls up. I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, so I wanted to show you kind of how to remove the gas tank, because I think it's important to put the wires underneath the gas tank. There's a 10mm bolt here that goes through under here, and this portion of the gas tank flips down. And then once that flips up, you just kind of wiggle back and forth. I was a little worried, but I saw in another video that somebody had done this. It's actually quite easy. You've got enough length here on the bolts. Here's the fuel pump, and you have enough length on your fuel lines to be able to do this. And then under here there's a whole bunch more stuff, which I'm going to probably clean a little bit because it's really dusty from my trails. And what you'll see is, I don't know, there's a rubber grommet thing here that's going to push into here, and then you're going to wedge the bottom of this underneath here and bolt it back in place. So I will do that. So what I did is I brought this wire down here, up here, zip tied it in here, and then followed this wire, zip tied it here, went underneath the bars, underneath this bar, and then came out underneath the other bar for the fuel tank, and then it comes out back in here. Wanted to get under here because the seat goes up here, and so I don't want anything getting in the way of the seat. On the other side, same thing, wires came down, came up the side, underneath here, and down and around. And the wire for the controller came down here. I'll show you that in a minute. Put it underneath the wire here, through here, and then down and along and over. So actually pretty easy. Well, while I got it, I'm just gonna clean off some of this dust. There's really not a whole lot you can do under here, but just want to make sure the wires aren't pinched anywhere. They've got, yeah, it's not too much here to clean. Oh, and then I'll mention on the other side, oh, there's a little scrape there. On the other side, I took this panel and this panel out. It's a simple 4mm here and a 5mm here. This just kind of pops out. And so I put these two wires, which are a little thicker, for the actual lights. I went down under this bar, and it gets kind of tight, and then I came back up under this bar. So it's kind of hidden behind this panel, but I wanted to make sure that there wasn't enough room up here. And of course I tried to get it even through here, but I want to make sure I made it under both of these bars. So let's see here. And then these guys also hold the gas tank in place. So let me see, I can feel that front. And it just kind of wiggles on down. There's a big wiring loom on this side that you gotta make sure it gets under. Let's see. So this needs to go up quite a bit more. There we go. I can feel where that goes in. Let's see. You want to pull up, make sure that's in place, and then the gas tank's in. Main thing is you want to make sure that that front one's in and it's down all the way. And this just simply slides in there. So actually, I guess you could have taken it over these, but I didn't know. I thought this went in underneath. I think this is for the seat. All right. So now I've got the double-sided 3M tape. I had some thicker ones, but screw these on, make sure these connections are in and tight. Oh no, I put this zip tie on before I got that connector in, so I'm just going to take that off. Surprisingly, you don't need a whole lot of tools to do this. And I find that it actually just fits, it'll fit right down there. So I'm just going to take some of this double-sided tape underneath. This stuff sometimes is a pain to get started here. Come on. There we go. Alright, and actually, I need to put this on a little bit, up a little bit farther. And just push that down. Alright, so that's secure. The rest of these wires are just going to get tucked in here. And this will all be hidden by the seat. Alright, I'm going to grab the seat here real quick. Yeah, so overall, I mean, the seat's been pretty good, but when we did that off-road trip, we were in the saddle for 300 miles off-road. My butt definitely hurt, so I'm looking in maybe getting the comfort seat or modifying this seat. So this part here just slips on in under here. Sorry, I hope you can see all that. That just fits under there. Got my Allen keys and Allen bolts. One little connector is sticking up. There's not a ton of space under here. So I do feel like something is kind of pushing. Just gonna make sure these guys are underneath and down as much as we can put them. Alright, gonna get these tightened up and we'll see the final product. Alright, she's all back together. Once again, the lights that I got were this MT8 series Auxbeam. Just off Amazon. Comes with the brackets, which are nice. And you can see them here and here. I will have to adjust the angles once it gets dark out and I can check it out again. The controller, what I did was I loosened this bolt here and just put the controller right here. So we can turn the motorcycle on. And you'll notice these light up. So right now when you first turn the motorcycle on, there are these little halo driving lights, which are kind of cool. And now what we can do is press this, and then these are the modes. So this will turn on the lights. So those are the yellows, which I'll most likely be using during the day. It's hard to tell, but they are actually really bright. And then another mode, the driving lights, which are white, which do throw farther beam. And then at night, most likely I'll probably be using the both. So it's hard to tell right now. I'll do another one at night, but it's the white and the yellow, and then the yellow and the white. So that cycles through the yellow and the white, and then these are the different modes. So they'll flash, flash. These are flashing, they're on all the time, but they're flashing kind of a yellow and a white, which is cool, definitely gets your attention. And then this will flash yellows and whites. Just yellows, just whites. And you press that mode button and they go off. Power, yellow, white, both, yellow. So I think it looks great. Actually, I kind of like the yellow with the gold forks. And the biggest issue really is the wiring, and I know that's probably the most important part of the video. This is the Triumph pannier, which I think looks nice and gives you some versatility. And yeah, well, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and hopefully I can answer those for you. Have a great day.